Today we're going to talk about the deadlift. Now the prerequisites for the deadlift, I'm going to say there's 3 prerequisites. The first one is the hinge position. Can I get my hips back and load up my hamstrings and glutes? The second thing is, can I get my lats tight so that when I do start moving heavy weight, I know that I'm locked in? The third thing would be, is my cylinder or my core bracing efficiently, okay? So let's quickly just take the next minute to cover a couple of these things. So let's set ourselves up in a deadlift position and cover some of these things. So to make sure that my hip is back and I'm in the hinge position, I need to make sure of a few things. I have a straight shin angle. From this straight shin angle is where I'm gonna push my hip back. From here, now I've almost brought my torso parallel to the floor. I have my hamstrings fully loaded, and then the bar is nice and close to me, okay? From here, if I'm not tight in my lats, and I have no tension in my upper body, I know that I risk rounding my back, and I don't want to do that. So, step number 1, acquire the hinge. Step number 2, make sure right under the armpits, I'm pulling my lats in tight. Step number 3 is make sure that you have your brace. So we talk about our cylinder core, and we talk about how we use that cylinder core for powerlifting. Usually, we use our core to keep us upright and to facilitate breathing. When we are deadlifting, squatting, we use our core as a brace mechanic. So what we do is we fill it up with our ribs down to fill up our 360 cylinder. And as we explode through the motion, we push the air out, feeding into that cylinder. So I have tons of support, not only muscle, but air for my spine from my core. So I set myself in my deadlift here. I have my straight shin angle. I push my hip back. I get myself nice and long. I get my lats nice and tight. From here, I take my breath in, push out to the cylinder as I come up. When I'm ready to go, weights just to the heels. Make sure it's a hinge motion that brings me back to the motion. Plates hit the floor. And we have our deadlift, okay? 2 types of deadlift. I can touch and go, which I just did, or I can stop, dead stop. So touch and go, hips, hinge, slight touch, come back up, dead stop, hinge, reset, regain tension, hinge. Okay, so simple criteria: straight shin angles, tight lats, cylinder core. If we do that, we're not going to get injured doing a deadlift, and that is the functional way to deadlift.